You know who won't be playing with Ricardo Pepi at PSV is Erick Gutierrez. The 28-year-old Mexican midfielder looks to have a deal done to see him return to Liga MX with Chivas, leaving PSV and European football behind after 5 seasons. Chivas apparently going to pay €5 million fee for Guti, who won 2 Dutch Cups in his time at PSV. Mal, let's start with you on this one, because I want to hit this from the Mexican national team perspective. Is Guti's return to Liga MX at 28 years old something, nothing, or everything?
It is something. It's not everything because he's no longer the starter. He's no longer one of the most important players in the Mexican national team.
Was he ever?
He lost
really?
that.
When was he?
Well, great point.
Yeah.
Great point. I think there was a point in which we all thought he was the heir to Andres Guardado. A lot of us thought, I don't know if you guys did, I thought
I'll buy in with that.
whenever Andres Guardado,
yeah.
whenever Andres Guardado wanted to leave the national team, Erick Gutierrez would fill his shoes. But I'm very disappointed in the way his European career ended. I thought there was more to him, and hearing from sources, this is not something that just happened in the last month. He's been joining for a return to Mexican soccer for a while now, and maybe that speaks to either the fact that he was never comfortable in Europe, or maybe that he didn't feel as appreciated or valued in Europe. But in terms just for the Mexican national team, it is something, because he's going to be a regular starter for Chivas. We'll see at what spot, right? What position he plays. That's important.
Oh, you're going the other way with this.
Chivas.
You're going the other way with this. You don't think it's a bad thing for the Mexican national team. You think it's a good thing because he's going to play more.
No. Yeah, I think it could be a good thing. Yeah, of course.
Go on, Herc.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I think this is everything. This is everything, Seb. I mean, especially for Mexican fans, pundits. Think about this for a second. You're coming and you're seeing where the Mexican national team is right now, and you're saying we need elite A players out there in Europe, and then all of a sudden you see Diego Lainez is back with Tigres. He was one of the few that were out in Europe. Pisuto is now at Tigres as well.
Well, he didn't even play.
Well, he was a prospect. And then you think about it, Cesar Montes and Johan Vazquez just got relegated. And Edson Alvarez, he just got blocked by Dortmund. And I'm thinking to myself, where are the players in Europe? And then what drives me crazy is, if you think about this, Erick Gutierrez has been at PSV for 5 years. He's played the most he's ever played in the last 2 years. Last season, the guy was scoring goals and he played as center back. He scored goals in league play, scored goals in Europa League, scored goals in Champions League, the semifinals of the Dutch Cup, played all types of different positions. You're thinking, finally things are turning up. Finally things are turning around. And he decides at 28 years of age to come back to Chivas?
Herc.
That's what he decides? So you could understand why Mexican fans are like, what's going on here? This is everything.
First of all, I never thought I would see you this excited to talk Erick Gutierrez. You are very, very excited talking.
Who are we talking about?
Erick Gutierrez, that's number one. Number two, I just had a conversation with former national team player Carlos Salcido, an interview that we're going to have on ESPN Deportes very, very soon. And I asked him regarding, Carlos Salcido played at PSV, and I asked him regarding Erick Gutierrez, and he said something that we've been touching a little bit on this particular subject. He said, listen, a lot of Mexicans have been there at PSV. I feel like I'm one of the first that broke ground, right, and made some way for them. But he said, it's all about quality. It's all about quality.
He questioned the quality.
If you're not good enough, you're not going to have a long career. And if you have like a 2 or 3 year career and you come back, maybe you were never good enough. So maybe we should start having that conversation more often. Did he really have the quality to play at that level? He's still 28. He could have stayed, right? Maybe he's not good enough.
Did you ask Salcido about his defunct league? No?
Steady.
Let's
keep the few friends we have.
That much time.
The problem here, Seb, is for the Mexican fan base, it's so disheartening to see another player, one that you thought things were finally turning around for, come back.
Yeah.
And you could say what you want about Chivas, and if it's great for him or whatever, we could agree that Chivas is in PSV. Chivas is in Europe. So while I understand what Mal was saying, this could be good for him, it's not good for Mexican soccer. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, you can't like this trend. And it's not just Liga MX, right? It's Hector Herrera going to Major League Soccer. Anytime a player in or near their prime leaves Europe to come back, it's not good for the national team. That's the bottom line. It's just not good for the national team. Especially a national team like Mexico that doesn't have players in Europe. I mean, Gutierrez had seen a dip in his playing time, and I can understand it. And this speaks to the financial strength and realities of Mexican football, right? He was not going to advance in Europe. If he was, he would have stayed. There would have been economic offers. But the reality is, he's not going to get that big money in MLS. The only place for him to go from a money standpoint, Mau, is Liga MX. That doesn't speak to the strength of Liga MX. That just speaks to the strength of the amount of money in Liga MX. And that's problematic.
And that's why I want to stop there for a second, because a lot of the players that we saw coming back to either Liga MX or Major League Soccer, they actually honored and completed their contract with their teams. Their contracts were not renewed, and then made a move back to either Mexico or the U.S. Chivas here is actually paying a 5.5 million transfer fee, which says a lot. I mean,
well, it speaks of the necessity that Chivas have.
Good for Chivas.
Right.
If you have a necessity and you have the money, go for it. Still very, very good player at Mexican League level, right? But Seth spoke about a trend. I don't want to see this happening more often. Mexican teams, no. Just because Erick Gutierrez, I think he's going to have more playing time, and it could be good for the Mexican national team. But as a full picture, big picture, I don't want to see Mexican clubs spending money to bring players back from Europe. I definitely do not want to see that happening more often.
It's a slippery slope, Seb. Slippery slope because these clubs, the owners have a decision and a vote on what happens with the Mexican national team.